That's it.
That's it.
That is very appropriate for April, which is also Street Harassment Month.
Story of my life.
Yeah. So the story of most women lives living in New York City. We just cannot avoid the street calls. All right. Thank you so much, Mayra. Lisa, you good? Come on now.
Yes.
Come on down.
Roya, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am honored and humbled to be in your presence. I don't know what rock I was living under that I had not heard about you, but I've also been in my shell, being a mom, being a wife, so I'm crawling back out of there. So this poem that I wrote was in maybe like 2014 or so. So it's called Paper Violator. How could I or any other writer get by? We live pretty stressed lives as writing is the cure for stress. Writing is liberation, it's freedom, it's the brain on paper, it's the mind on drugs, on acid, it's the mind on, it's the body turns inside out, it's the soul creeping out, it's the higher self playing hide, seek, and found. Writing is constant movement, is the pen on cruise control, it's 5 fingers on a pen without letting go. You become scared and think any second the pen will shatter. What happens then after all the splatter? I'll continue writing. I'll leave skid marks and smoke on this paper. I'll let the ink melt on this paper. I'll cause a forest fire on this paper. I'll call the firefighters on this paper. The fireman will ask, man, what the hell happened to this paper? And I'll respond, man, my mind's happened to this paper. My soul exploded on this paper. My heart ignited this paper. The pen burst on this paper. The sun burned through this paper. There was no water to save this paper. In fact, the paper begged to be flavored, savored, and favored. The fireman would say, ma'am, we apologize, but we cannot save this paper. You have destroyed this paper. Only ashes remain of this paper. No hydrant could have saved this paper. No one would have been able to rescue this burning paper. Can you smell the paper? It continues to burn, still no savior. As long as this paper continues to burn, throw in this paper the anger, the sad, the happy, the mad, the glad, the trash, the stash, the ash, the shit that did not last. Let her burn along with this paper. Cleanse yourself on this paper. Go crazy on this paper. Get psycho on this paper. Meds will only enhance this paper. Spit on this paper. Sprint for this paper. Jump on this paper. Stomp with this paper. Cry for this paper. Scream through this paper. I'm on fire because of this paper. Paper, paper. I'll spend millions on sheets of paper. If I become poor because of paper, I'll write on the walls about this paper. Paper, paper, pen and paper. Paper, raper. Take me to jail for this paper. I just violated a pen on this paper.
Where the fuck have you been hiding?
Oh my God, I need some water.
Where in the world did this come from? Like, I feel like I don't know you.
I got it, Angie. I got it. I told you, I'm crawling out of my shell. I got it, Angie.
Oh my God. Let me just tell you that Lisa's part of a WhatsApp writing group that we have. So every Sunday we had this writing salon that would meet in my apartment, and she was one of the ladies who came and wrote here in my apartment. So then we also have a group chat, and all these women talk about, you know, I do encourage them to write, and every so often they submit their little blog posts to me and whatever, but I had no idea about this. Like, she would say, yeah, I like spoken word. She was like, Roya, I write poems. I had, damn, Lisa. Wow. We were not ready. I wasn't ready for that. Who are you?
Thank you. Thank you.
Drop the mic and walk away. Just leave it like that. Thank you. Guadalis, I'm sorry, but you gotta go after Lisa.
I know, I was like, como que I'm good, we good. Buenas noches. Nah, man, this is all just hearing everybody's work is so incredibly inspiring and beautiful. So this is like beyond an honor. And yeah, Roya, I just downloaded your audiobooks. I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah. Book sales going on in here.
Yes.
Book sales going on.
Listen, this is how we survived this pandemic. This is how we surviving COVID. That's basically what this is. But yeah, I'm gonna read y'all it's like a monologue in one of my poems. So I have a one of my plays was part of the Parsnip Ship. It's a podcast, and they do plays with musical guests. So my play, Ashiro's Journey, or what Anakauna Yemaya taught me, is on there with Afro Dominicano as my musical guest. So they're like on all the audio platforms. So you're welcome to hear it. But this one, it's about a young girl that goes on this journey of self discovery. She's a Black Latina, and she's basically trying to like figure out who she is, and it's a conversation about self love and our bodies as women. So one of the characters in the play is Anakaona, and she gives this monologue. So I'll set it up with the stage directions and then just kind of read through that. Anakaona gets a gourd filled with seeds from her bag. She accommodates herself with Soila's head on her lap. As Anakaona hums an areito, Soila falls into a deep slumber. Anakaona reads, "You come from a long line of warriors and strong people. Don't let anyone ever say you are less than what you are." Soila is fast asleep. Anakaona lays her head down gently as she gets up. She walks over to the fire and pokes a stick in the ashes. She then walks over to and draws Taino symbols on the walls. As she speaks, the spirits of Tainos rise, circling their shelter. They move to the beat of the drum, to the shake of the gourd. Taino symbols fill the night, lighting up the sky. Anakaona continues. Kaunabo and Anakaona, leaders of our kind, ruled happily and fruitfully for many a time. The people were happy, our children thrived, our community was strong, our kingdom was vast. But one fateful day, men in 3 boats set foot on our shores. We welcomed the strangers with open arms, as that has always been our custom. At first, they were grateful, happy learning about us. But as we learned about them, ugliness filled their eyes. They kept asking for more gold, more emeralds, more things they thought valuable. Their faces would shine as they held them in their hands, their mouths salivating, but their eyes, the windows to their souls, they were filled with a darkness we had never seen. They wanted more and more and more. They taxed us for not meeting their quotas, and when we refused, they killed us. They threw us into pits with packs of dogs, our limbs pulled apart, our flesh ripped off our bones. They laughed as our babies cried, but we fought back at the place they called La Navidad, a battle we put our all in. We won, killed each and every one. We celebrated our victory as if it was a test from the gods, and we passed triumphantly. But more of them came. All of Earth's creatures are sacred and have purpose, but these creatures didn't seem sacred, and their purpose had no logic. They took my Kaunabo. In chains he went on their big ships. He promised me he would broker a deal with their king and queen. I never saw him again. The people looked to me. I was their cacique now. I had to lead them to victory once again. I tried to reason with these strangers who kept coming in droves. We prepared a feast for them to work out a deal, but a deal with evil is never without consequence. We opened our homes to them and they trapped us inside, killing us all. My children watched as I burned alive. When they came to our shores for the first time, they talked about a man named Jesus. They praised this man that walked on water. He taught kindness, love, and salvation, the hypocrisy of it all. I almost believed their stories. "How can you preach one thing and do another?" I yelled. So they burned me alive. My death was to serve as an example of what rebelling would do. Some of my people ran to other islands or hid in the mountains. Others decided to die in this life so they could come back in another. But so many were killed by these men that called themselves Christians. And for over 500 years, they've tried to bury our story. The stage directions follow. The Taino spirits dance. Their power is felt. The ground shakes under the stomps of their feet. Their breath exhales and grunts chant. They scream a warrior call. The rattle of their feet matches the rattle of the gourd. Their presence is undeniable. Anakaona looks at her work. She laughs. They thought they killed us all, but they were wrong. We continue to live. We Tainos never die. Daktoka Taino. The Taino spirits settle, sounds dissipate. All we hear are the sounds of night. Anakaona continues to draw. Thank you, Angie.
thought I was unmuted. Could you please share with everyone where they could listen to the entire podcast of that play?
Yeah, I'll put it on the chat.
Thank you so much. Beto, are you gonna read? ¿O se fue Beto? All right, he's not around. Mayra, you want to read your second piece? Is anybody else wanting to read a second piece? Let me know. Hit me up in the chat.
Angie, it's too late. Is it too late for me to read something?
Oh, no, definitely. No, of course.
All right, give me a second.
Mayra, let Isaura.
You got it.
All right,
Mine
is really short and sweet. Roya, I also want to commend you. Like, wow. I downloaded it. I need it with your voice. So I'm so happy that I was able to come in and discover you. My piece, I've been following the Dominican writers prompts, and this is the one for day 2, Love Better in Spanish. I love her better in Spanish, porque el esposo de ella que la ama en inglés. I kiss her better in Spanish, cuando sus labios abren y me erizan la piel. I touch her better in Spanish, acariciándola lentamente. I understand her better in Spanish, cuando sus lágrimas caen porque ella es infiel. I commit better in Spanish, rogándole que lo deje a él. I walk away better in Spanish, cuando ella me dijo que su mamá no la quiere con una mujer. I grieve better in Spanish, diciéndole a mi corazón que la olvide. I forget better in Spanish, despidiéndome de un amor que no pudo ser.
You're muted, Angie.
Yo estoy comiendo aquí. Don't mind me.
Okay, so I heard you called me. I was doing dishes.
I was calling to see if you reading or not.
Well, I have a Spanish piece here that I would like to share with you guys. It is on my Instagram, but I can read it for you. And I will definitely look for your book and listen to the audiobook because I love audiobooks too. So I'm willing to do that tomorrow, okay? So you had a lot of supporters in here. There we go. So esto se llama Me Mira y dice así. Me mira, sin saber o haciéndome creer que no sabe el poder que tiene. Me mira por encima de esa revista que recibe cada 2 meses, con dietas y consejos de belleza. ¿Para qué? ¿Para quién? Me pregunto si yo me la encuentro perfecta. Ella, a quien le quedan mejor que a mí mis camisas, la que no necesita más que una sonrisa para cambiarme el mundo y hacerme suyo. Me mira mientras yo le preparo lo primero que va a comer hoy, con su delantal floreado y el sartén en las manos. Y ya su revista parece no interesarle. Intensifica su mirar y siento que me voy al mueble o que viene a esa isla que por el momento no se para. Empiezo a ponerme nervioso de los nervios que se sienten sobre un escenario. Sé lo que se viene, sé lo que se aproxima, pero me mira. Me mira y yo tiemblo de imaginarlo. Le hago creer que me distraigo y sin pensarlo, ya se puso de pie con la excusa del jugo de naranja. Me abraza por la espalda haciendo pausa antes de abrir el refri. Perdemos el rumbo, a mí se me queman los huevos, ella olvida el jugo. Es mucho el fuego, es poco el humo. Qué manera de empezar la mañana. Me mira, pero ahora me toca, con sus manos, con su boca, con su pelo regado en todo mi pecho, y yo solo cierro los ojos, abro los poros y absorbo todo. Su sudor sobre mí, su olor en mi nariz, cómo huele, cómo se mueve, cómo no pido, cómo sí cede. Empecemos de nuevo. Mañana empecemos de nuevo. Apenas es sábado, son las 8:30 de la mañana y tendremos todo el fin de semana. Me mira sin saber o haciéndose la que no sabe. Estamos a punto de perder el hambre, pero qué bueno que me mira. That was it.
So much. Thank you. Who's next? Mayra, you're going to read your second piece.
Yes, ma'am. It's nice and short as well. Thank you. Subway. Urine smell, dirty white tiles, dim lights, half-torn ad posters. I always ride the last car. I never make eye contact. I have a book or a newspaper or a magazine. I watch the Latinos get on. I watch the blacks get on. I watch the whites get on. Slowly, we all mix. Slowly, we all stand or sit. I never make contact. Urine smell, dirty white tiles, dim lights, half-torn ad posters.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Is anyone else wanting to read something else? Nobody wants to go after Lisa. Damn, Lisa, you shut it down. Nobody wants to go after you.
I have one more that's quick, if that's okay.
Dale.
Yeah? Okay. Sorry. This is also from one of the writer's prompts. It's called My Spanglish. You must be confusing this mixture of two beautiful languages, calling it Spanglish when I'm calling it translanguaging. Yeah, it's a real thing, research-based, study samples and all, take into account all of the variables. The conclusions state it's an effective way of communicating, teaching, learning, educating. So while you may think this form of expression makes me less of, déjame decirte una cosa de cómo yo hablo y cómo yo me comunico en una manera so beautiful que ni a ti te explico, because it just flows from the tip of my tongue to in between the gaps of my teeth. My words suenan como una canción sweeping you off your feet.
Damn. That's all from the writing prompts.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm so glad that you're all engaging on the writing prompts and that you're all getting inspired to come up with your own version of things. So Guadalis wants to read another piece as well. Guadalis, dale.
Okay, this one's not a monologue. This is I sometimes write, I don't write poetry, I write slam rants. So not like slam poetry, it's just me ranting. But this one's called Women Like Me. I could feel his stare on me. It was heavy, like a ton of bricks on my soul. I looked deep into his blue eyes, and without missing a beat, he says, "You look like you would be a good fuck." I'm sorry, what? You look like you would be great at having sex. And he said it so as a matter of fact, as if he was reading it from a dictionary. I didn't realize what was happening until fast forward and connecting all the dots, I noticed the trend. See, this was before I was called a whore during choir rehearsals at church, and after the pastor's son shook his head at me saying, "You can't possibly be a virgin," I realized that my body threatens your ideas of chastity and virtue. A woman with curves as deep as the valleys in the desert, legs like colosseums to hold up the masterpiece that is the fat ass. She would never be worthy of respect, much less your hand in marriage, and even less your ideas of pious virtue. I'm a descendant of Tainas, having their insides ripped apart by savages who claim to bring salvation. And when their thirst could not be quenched, they resolved to bring back Black women to work them to the bone, then rape them to the marrow. And don't you dare disobey, or you'll make white Jesus mad, and I'll have to use a whip. I'll have to use my whip, my belt, my chancleta. Forced to pray to a God that didn't even look like me, but that didn't even look like them, because why would we think that your body is sacred if sacred doesn't even look like you? How could I expect to be seen any different when women who look like me are raped and killed without regard, without Amber Alerts, and without search parties? He heard me speak Spanish. He asked why. I said, I'm Dominican. And I don't know what he heard, because I saw his whole demeanor change. His weight shifted from kinda interested to completely at attention and ready to go. And I don't mean his stance. I very much mean his dick. He licked his lips and asked what that tongue do, as if 500 years of colonization and rape and forced adoption of a foreign language culminated in this very moment, the intersection of my tongue and his fetish. La negra tiene tumbao, but she also has feelings, and yes, there's gold between my thighs, but there's also vibranium between my eyes. He yelled out, "Oye, mami, ven aquí, did you hear me?" I walked faster, but not too fast, and kind of smiled, but not too hard, because I don't want to antagonize or provoke or whatever the fuck it is that he thinks I'm doing when I'm not trying to be his mommy. And I don't know if that's a gun or if he's just happy to see me, but it doesn't matter, because both can be used against me in a court of law where the only right I have is to plead the fifth, and since my words and my trauma hold no weight against his tear-filled words. I mean, if the highest court in this country won't even believe a white woman about her abuse, why the fuck would circuit court care about a negrita living in the hood? She probably deserved it. Those pants are too tight, but my pants aren't too tight. My ass is hella big, and a potato sack can't shield women like me from men like Kavanaugh or Brock Turner or your Theo or your dad or your Rabo Verde uncle. So we meet too when time's up and boost up the celebrities, and they get an extra 15 minutes of fame, even though it was created by a Black woman named Tarana Burke. But for us regular girls, it's back to business as usual, even after I reported Brad to HR. But they don't do anything because the company doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. And so I swallow my humiliation and focus on work. And Hannah complains too. And this time it's taken a little more serious. So she posts about it on social media, and 5,000 retweets, 200,000 likes, and a BuzzFeed article later, Brad is fired. But it shouldn't take social media to get people to hashtag believe her. Yo, real talk, if Hannah was Lakeisha or maybe even Maria, would it have gained any traction? Would we even be saying her name? No, because if they were, I wouldn't be standing here reading a fucking poetic rant about it.
Damn, drop the mic.
That's when I'm pissed. That's what happens when I'm pissed.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm pretty sure that resonated with many of us. Thank you so much, everyone. Is there anyone else who wants to read? Let me see the chat. Okay. Sasha Fierce came out. That's what they said. All right, guys. I am going to end the night. We've been on since 8 o'clock. Some people are in need of going to bed because they got to wake up early tomorrow to join our writing workshops, which is a good thing. But I want to thank Roya once more for being our featured poet for tonight, and congratulate you once again for the debut of your book, Daylight. I'm gonna, right after this, I'm gonna go and buy the audiobook and probably fall asleep to it tonight. And as always, you know, I'm here to support you, anything you need. I love you, you know, I came in, I don't know how to show that enough. But thank you to everyone who stayed on tonight, who came through, who purchased her book. It's very important that we support our writers, that we purchase their writing. I encourage you all to write and put out your work in any which way that you can. Roya started by putting out 2 chapbooks, and today she is a published writer. And I always say the same thing about Elizabeth Acevedo, who was also a slam poet and with a chapbook, and now she's about to debut her 3rd novel. So you put in the work, you work on your craft, and we figure out a way to get you published, whether it's self-published with a small press or by one of the big 5. So it's totally doable. So I want to encourage you all to continue working on that. So with that being said, I want to say good night, and we will host this again next month, so be on the lookout. And if you want to partake in any of our other events, just go to DominicanWriters.com and click on the events on the menu, and you'll see everything that we have coming up for the next month. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody. This event was recorded, so I would put it up on YouTube soon for everyone to see. Have a good night. Stay safe. Wear your mask and gloves when you go out. Don't overwork yourselves during this time. And once again, have a good night. Thank you, guys.